Hello everyone. Today I am at home in front of my Christmas tree. That still doesn't have any ornaments on it yet. Today is day 5 of our Christmas reading calendar, and today is supposed to be a recommendation from a librarian. So I asked Miss Tammy in our Horace Mann library if she liked any Christmas books, and she recommended a book called The Christmas Owl. And I'd never read this book before, and I think you're really gonna like the story. So this story is made up, and I know it's made up because the animals in this story talk, but the things that happen in this story are real. They are real things that happen. Now, in New York City, every year, they bring in a really big Christmas tree and they put it up at a place called the Rockefeller Center. And one year, they found an owl in that tree. So this is the story of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree and the owl that was found. And so we're going to find out what happens to the owl, the Christmas owl. Once in a little town, in a little front yard, lived a little owl high in the branches of a very big tree. For the curious little owl, not even a year old, the world was filled with wonder. Streams were for splashing, forests were for flying, and friends of all feather were merrily made. All the animals were happy. One day, when winter had arrived, the town around her began to transform. Houses were decorated, lights were strung, jingles and music filled the city air. Little Owl watched and listened, and that night, when the darkness came, the whole town glittered and glowed. "What's going on here?" she asked her friends. "Christmas," said Moose. "And what is that?" Little Owl said. "Not sure," said Rabbit. "No idea," said Skunk. "No one knows," said Squirrel. "But it happens every year." The animals are not quite sure what Christmas is. The next morning, confused as ever, Little Owl flew home to where she found some people standing around the big tree's trunk. "It's beautiful," said one of them. "It'll be a perfect Christmas tree," said another. "A Christmas tree?" Little Owl wondered. "My home is Christmas?" The workers began attaching wires and ropes to the tree. As Little Owl hid in the shadows, the branches pulled tight around her. She was trapped. Then she heard a roar. The tree shook, spinning and swaying. It was lowered down onto a truck. Little Owl was dizzy. "Is this Christmas?" "Say goodbye to our tree," someone called as the big truck rumbled away. "Your tree?" wondered Little Owl. "How could anyone own a tree?" So they cut down the tree. This family is saying goodbye to the tree that was in their yard, and that tree is getting on the truck and going to New York City. And Little Owl is inside. For hours and hours they drove. The cold wind rushed beneath her feathers. The little owl was hungry, but there was nothing to eat. She was thirsty, but there was nothing to drink. She was lonely, and her friends were far, far away. Is this Christmas? Pinned against the tree, she tried to sleep. This is a problem for Little Owl. At last, 3 days later, the truck came to a stop. Again, the tree jostled and lifted. Then all at once, its branches spread. Worn and weak, Little Owl edged out into the light. "Where am I?" Can you tell where she is? I see some big buildings. Below her, hundreds of people stomped and scowled, and cars clogged the streets. Above, strange towers scraped the sky. This is not home. She tried to flap her wings, but she wasn't strong enough. As her eyes were closing, she saw... What did she see? There's an owl in here, someone said. Now, there aren't any words on this page, but I can tell what's happening because of the pictures. That worker found her in a tree and put her safe in a box in the car. Then he drove somewhere and he met a lady and he's giving the little owl to the lady. I wonder who she is. Let's find out. When little owl awoke, she was in a box. It opened and a new face peered inside. Hello, little one. I'm Ellen. Let's get you inside. So this lady's name is Ellen. And I see some more words on this page. Let's look closely. Here there's a sign and it says Ravensbeard Wildlife Center. A wildlife center is where hurt or sick animals, wild animals, can go to get better. And someone like Ellen will take care of them. And when the wild animals get better, they can let them go in the wild again. All right, let's see if she helps little owl. Whatever Christmas was, it seemed to have gotten inside the house. The place was warm and cozy, and it seemed, oddly, to be made for birds. Why are you here? Little owl asked. Broken leg, said the hawk. Broken wing, said falcon. But Ellen looks after us until we're ready to fly free again. After all this, little owl wondered, could a human really help? So there's little owl and Ellen, and there are other birds that she's helping too. Over the next days, little owl gulped down water and gobbled up mice. She was given an x-ray, and every day Ellen checked her feathers, her eyes, and her ears. Ellen is helping. Could Christmas be caring? Could Christmas be kind? Ellen held little owl in her hand. After all you've been through, she said, it's a miracle you're alive. But was little owl ready to fly? Almost, cried her new friends. Ellen smiled. Almost, she said. At last, at dusk on Christmas, they drove to the top of the mountain. Ellen lifted little owl from the box and raised her arm. You're free, she said. Welcome home. For the last time, the friends looked at each other. Then little owl flapped her wings and flew higher and higher into the sky. But she wasn't going to go home just yet. There she goes. Where do you think she might be going? When at last she reached the very big tree, which was now a very big Christmas tree, she settled on her favorite branch. Bright and brilliant, the city was not what she remembered. The cars had disappeared, the great towers were merrily lit, the people were smiling and skating, and some were even singing. They held hands and hugged. All, it seemed, were eager to love. Is this Christmas? Yes, little owl thought. It must be. She went back and she saw her tree. For some time, little owl sat basking in the golden glow. When at last the moon peeked above the buildings, she knew it was time to go home. So she flew and she flew. You're back, her friends cried, gathering round, and just in time for Christmas, squealed Mouse. Whatever that is, added Rabbit. Actually, I may have learned something about Christmas, said little Owl, as they all nuzzled close. Could you tell us? Of course, said little Owl, knowing full well that this was Christmas too, being with friends and being with family that you love. The end. Now, in the back of my story, there is a picture of the real little owl. There she is. And this is Ellen. And there's little owl. How cute. Now, I know by reading these words in the back, this is the true story, that Ellen named this little owl Rocky because of Rockefeller Center. Isn't that such a nice story? All right. Thank you, Miss Tammy at our library, for telling us about the Christmas owl. Get your calendars out, find ornament number 5, and color it in. See you tomorrow.